It's like, Doctor Who's in a brothel. Oh, God. Oh, Doctor Who. No. Doctor Who's killing everyone in town with his
It's
with
like,
his
have you
thugs.
forgotten how
No.
chase you are? Come on.
Hail, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about The House of the Dragon. Season 1, Episode 1. The Heirs of the Dragon. We open in Westeros, 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones, with the old king Jaehaerys Targaryen choosing an heir. His eldest child, Rhaenys, or Rhaenys' younger cousin, Viserys, the oldest male descendant. To avoid civil war, he brings it to a vote. It's very, civil of them. And Viserys wins the Iron Throne. And we hear the mission statement of the show. The only thing that could tear down the House of the Dragon was itself. And it will see that happen. Yay! Okay.
It doesn't give the dragons any credit,
Yeah, great, good point.
Or is he including them in the family?
So we end with a now aging Viserys, the guy who took the throne, having to name his own heir. And he faces a similar dilemma. His infant son has died, and so the two options are his loose cannon, seemingly tyrannical brother Daemon, or his daughter, Rhaenyra. He chooses his daughter as his heir. Credits. Paul.
Yes?
What'd you think of episode 1?
I liked it. I did. I think they did a good job of laying out the characters there, and it certainly, it felt like Game of Thrones, even in this different era. And two, also you could perhaps say that what didn't feel like Game of Thrones is just being stuck in one place the whole time. But you had episodes that focused on a particular place from time to time, and since this is introduced into the series and the characters, it made sense. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
As I watched it, I thought, I bet Paul is going to like this, just because I know what you really liked out of Game of Thrones.
What I meant was no, I didn't like it. No.
Because it's so much like Lord of the Rings. No, because it's because you really appreciated the Game of Thrones aspect, the political machinations and watching, people's fortunes rise and fall depending on their actions. So this has a lot of that, for sure. And in fact, this series is based on some of the later chapters of the book Fire and Blood, which I recently purchased just to acquaint myself a little bit with the material. In fact, the episode title, Heirs of the Dragon, is one of those chapters.
I didn't even appreciate that these were later chapters in a book.
The book starts about 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones, and then where we are in this, in the Heirs of the Dragon is 200 years.
I see. So all those things, that stuff that they sort of yada 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 at the very beginning is laid out more explicitly in the earlier chapters.
Correct. For this show, I am not going to be a source material purist, partially because I haven't read the whole thing yet.
I just learned that this thing
learned this, and now
that I
really
liked it first. Now I don't like it.
Right, exactly. Now, I might be a little more book puristy for that little fantasy show dropping next week, but we'll get to that when we get to it. For this, I'm like, hey, great show. I don't care what. Oh, written words, blah, blah, blah. Also, George Martin is a producer on this show, so he is certainly weighing in on making decisions about it and stuff. So,
or being paid off to look the other way.
Or being paid off to shut up.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just quickly, I'm not going to dwell on it, but just to give you a few of the main players, because all, the political machinations, these are the folks that are going to be making those machinations. You've got Rhaenys. So she was the princess that got passed over in the opening, when King Jaehaerys was like, oh yes, I have an eldest daughter, but nope, you voted for Viserys. So she's still around.
Yes.
And she is married to the Sea Snake, Corlys Velaryon. He's head of the House Velaryon, and he's a noted ship captain and explorer, and he's on the council. And you've got another member of the council, the Hand of the King, is Otto Hightower. His daughter, Alicent, vague spoilers ahead, very important character. All right, that's all we'll say. Oh, no! In the show, we see that she is good friends with the young Rhaenyra. So they are, they're friends.
Yes.
For now. All right, anyway.
Oh, no, he did it again!
How could people who were once friends become enemies? I can't imagine. All right.
No, but they should be friends forever. How dare you?
They should be friends forever. Because they're friends of friends forever. Come on, Paul, you know the song.
That's true. I do know that song. Actually, no, it doesn't sound familiar.
In the tournament, we're introduced to Sir Criston Cole, who defeats Daemon in combat. And he'll obviously have a part in things to come as well. And of course, we have the dragons. Targaryens each have a bond with a particular dragon. The show is going to play up the differences in those dragons, I think. We see that Rhaenyra rides Syrax, a yellow dragon. Daemon rides a red dragon named Caraxes, the Bloodworm. And the dragons obviously take on the personalities of their riders. But in any case, that's the stuff that Paul is most interested in, is the dragons. Something I like is that the series is going to show a passage of time. We've already seen it in the trailers. And I saw an article confirming this, that some of the characters have older versions of themselves cast for later in the season.
Yeah, we've seen them in the trailers.
Exactly. And I'm hoping that Rings of Power also gives us a passage of time. These fantasy stories are better as these, like, a lush tale told, and not like just a moment in time, in my opinion.
Well, sure.
We've got a real-world analog to these events.
What are they?
I don't know if this is exactly what Martin was pulling from, but I think it's highly likely. My wife actually pointed this out to me. It's a time in 12th century England known as the Anarchy.
Okay. No, that was one of the interesting things about the Game of Thrones, is that how it borrowed from the War of the Roses. Right.
So this is not that.
Right, it's earlier, obviously.
Yeah, right. Wow, it all works out.
Wow.
Henry I is the son of William the Conqueror. So William the Conqueror comes over. He has a son. I think it's like one of his younger sons. But anyway, Henry I is on the throne. Henry has a son, his heir, William. However, young William drowns in a boating accident at the age of 17.
Okay.
And so you set up a similar situation, much like Viserys had an heir for a day, and then his heir died in this episode. So Henry had a daughter, Rhaenyra, Matilda.
I think that George R.R. Martin is a little better at naming than...
Right. Yeah. So Henry's daughter is Matilda. And she is seemingly the new heir. And in fact, Henry makes the entire court swear an oath to support Matilda's claim to the throne, should he die one day. One of those people making that oath was Stephen of Blois, whose mother...
Is that right?
It's B-L-O-I-S. It's French. It's Blois.
Or Blois.
Blois.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So
Blois.
Stephen of Blois.
Blois.
His mother was Henry I's sister. So much like Matilda, Stephen is also a grandkid of William the Conqueror. So Henry dies, and everybody's like, hey, Matilda's probably going to be queen. But Stephen's like, oath schmoths, I think I'll take the throne. And so he did. And so he trumped Matilda, and he ruled for about 20 years through a civil war until he died of a stomach ailment. Anyway, but similar idea. You had this like, we're not going to have a woman on the throne. I'll take over. And so there was a big clash for the throne.
Okay. Were they marrying, interbreeding going on in that story?
Oh, certainly. I mean,
okay.
There was a lot of inbreeding in the royal family. Sure.
Oh, okay.
For sure.
Oh, okay.
The scene that was kind of that stood out the most to me in this episode was a very visceral scene showing the comparison of the brutality going on in the jousting tournament to the brutality of this breech birth that ends up with,
Did that strike you as excessive?
I think it's in line with what Game of Thrones was as well. Like there were always parts of Game of Thrones where like it's HBO. I think we can up the violence on this.
Should I be offended? Check the channel that it's set at. HBO? Okay, no, I'm not offended. No.
You see the Mandalorian's head pop like a grape. You're like, oh, God, oh, Jesus. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, by that standard, I didn't think it was too brutal. If you're watching CBS, it would be, whoa, what the hell? Why had this get on? But it had a point to say that it's not just like, oh, the men go out and take all the risks. It was like, no, the women are having major risks as well every time they give birth. And so, she dies. The queen dies in childbirth. And I missed the moment, actually, when I didn't realize the child had died in that moment. It was only later.
Me neither. I mean, I watched it a couple of times.
It was a surprise when they were later said, like, and he was dead.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, that's why I had to go back, because it was like, what's that little thing next to the body? That looks a little too small to be.
When they burned.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I missed it.
Yeah.
So that's on us, I guess. Another one of these little, like, plot point bits they kind of just dropped and are like, this will be important later, is when the sea snake, Valerian, mentions to the council there's trouble at sea.
Yes.
And the council's like, go back to your drink, old man. Yeah. That is probably a group called the Triarchy from the book.
Yeah, that's what they said, the Triarchy.
Okay. The trailer suggests that's going to become important in episodes to come.
Yeah,
and it is.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
They didn't just mention it to be like, nobody listens to that guy.
Yeah, that's all. Although what was particular interest of me, and I think other people were surprised as well, is Viserys reveals to his daughter Rhaenyra that he's had a vision for the much into the future of White Walkers, basically.
So he was recounting like Aegon's vision, right? I mean, like he was like, this has been passed down from king to king, to ruler. Yeah, and he's like, hey, there's gonna be a song of ice and fire.
Yeah, and it's and like I don't know, it's like the fact that they mentioned it. It's like if she bases any of her decisions on this, I know that it doesn't affect her. In fact, I know that really he might as well just said nothing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're supposed to do with that information. Like, okay, so in other words, part of our bloodline eventually will give birth to Jon Snow. So we need to keep having babies, I guess?
Well,
is that
I guess
the whole point of it?
I guess the creed of it is sort of like, we have to unite everyone, right? So it's like, okay, so the fact that she didn't really need to, hopefully she doesn't make any decisions where it's like, well, you're being kind of easy on those people. It's like, well, I gotta, unite everyone.
I was getting from it that he was saying eventually they're going to have to unite against the White Walkers, and the person who's going to do that is going to be some offspring of ours. So we don't have to unite people now. We got that guy. It's that guy's job. It's Jon Snow's job later.
Yeah, but
he's got to unite people.
But he's not. I don't think he encouraged them. Like, make sure you tell your kid when they're young that uniting is good. I feel like he doesn't know when it's going to happen. It doesn't seem like he's saying. It's like this is coming.
It does sound like he's saying it's not you. I mean, right? I mean, like he's not like it could be you. You could be the Song of Ice and Fire. I think he's like, I don't know. Just keep passing it along.
I don't know.
Maybe.
If the urgency that he gave it should have been like, scientists say that in 40, 50, 200 years, that it'll be bad. So maybe now you should, work to reduce our, emissions or whatever. But you got 200 years. Footprint. Yeah, you got 200 years. So make sure that you get
the dragons are breathing way too much fire.
Yeah. Could you have somebody make bicycles for them? Because why do they have to fly around and
we need clean dragon power.
Yeah. I don't know why he is so urgent about it.
Since you're my heir, just in case something happens to me tomorrow, let me tell you, because he's probably worried about a civil war, frankly, to come, right?
Sure.
He's like, oh, my brother's going to hate this. So it's like, just in case I get whacked tomorrow, just so you know, I passed it along. Okay, my job's done.
Yeah,
okay.
Don't be an asshole is, I guess, what the subtext of that is. Because that's what Damon would be. Damon would be an asshole. And people would be like, the White Walkers can kill your ass, and we'll just deal with that. So, presumably he's encouraging them or finding somebody who's not a nut so that they won't piss everybody off, so that ultimately when those White Walkers come, they'll have a united kingdom. I can't mention the other reason why he would mention it. It's like, okay, well, you should know that our power is tenuous, he says, basically, that, the whole us controlling dragons is an illusion. So, it's important to be powerful. So, which I was just rewatching the episode where after Joffrey was killed, the kid who nobody thought anything of was now the ruler, and so
sure.
His grandfather was like, hey, what's important about kings, and eventually he got around to wisdom. Yes, wisdom is, because Joffrey sucked as a ruler. So you have to be wise, and you have to rule everyone, and so. It's something. It's been a theme, obviously, in the show that we saw before, and here it is again. Basically, you have an important role to play, and being a ruler is not as easy as you might think. You can't just choose some maniac, And we probably won't have a maniac later in the family,
but we will, right? We're gonna have a lot of maniacs. Jeez,
maybe it's not worth
to,
us
murder them here on the steps.
It's like maybe we shouldn't be inbreeding. No, of course we'll keep doing that.
Yeah, I'll keep inbreeding. Nothing about the prophecy said anything about inbreeding. Keep that going.
Yeah.
The story does have twists and turns, so it's not simply a Daemon versus Rhaenyra. That is not where this is headed.
It's not, thankfully. Yeah.
So, if it was a movie, that's where it would be headed. It's not a movie. It's several episodes, so it's going to be...
And I'm wondering if people are going to... Because you could, there's that incest aspect that's still going to exist that I think people are perhaps more understanding of it in Game of Thrones.
Here, there's that bit where Daemon's like, here, turn around, and he puts the necklace on her, and it's very like, okay, but you got it. Targaryens, they don't mind... having sex with the family.
Right, and so there's a great age difference as well. And so it'll be interesting to see how people take that part of the story. It'll probably be dysfunctional, and they'll just have to accept that that's what's going on.
And there's also, we've also got the thing where Otto Hightower, he's a political guy, and so when the queen dies, he's like, hey, daughter of mine, why not put on your mother's dress and go... be nice to the king in private. Yeah. Like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I wonder if people will start to say, why is she doing that? And she go along with your father pimping you out.
Which happened all the time. I mean, I believe Anne Boleyn was kind of a product of that, where the Boleyn family was like, you go and be nice to the king. How about that? So that's a thing, and there's also an age difference. Obviously, it's intriguing. It's well done. They put money and effort into this. And I really like the cast there. I can't say the actor's name who plays Otto Hightower, but it was good seeing him again. And, of course, being a Doctor Who fan, I like Matt Smith, That's right. But the thing is, every time I see him being terrible, or he's in a brothel, you're like, oh, boy. It's like, Doctor Who's in a brothel. Oh, God. Oh, Doctor Who. No. Doctor Who's killing everyone in town with his It's like, have you forgotten how chaste you are? Come on. Come on. Doctor Who. It's just like Doctor Who the early years. Is this part of he's going to realize at some point, I gotta set things right.
That's right. It's like, oh, I'm only, I'm less than 500 years old, so I can sow my wild oats.
Right. No, Doctor Who. No. So anyway, So I have to get past that because I have not gotten past that yet.
Yeah.
So
Doctor Who would never talk about air for a day.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that's the big thing. Yeah, Damon, the big toast where he's like, making fun of the dead king. Like, I'm gonna be king now.
And his reign of terror is just this evening reign of terror.
Yeah, so he's got the gold cloaks, which I think is what we see later. Even I think that's a tradition that lasts in the city watch. And so they go around just like arbitrarily doing justice. You stole? Cut off your hands. You did sexual assault? Cut off your junk. You're like, oh boy, okay. Vigilante justice. I mean, they set him out as to be a guy. At this moment, you're like, thank goodness he's not going to be king.
Yeah.
Of course, get ready for the guy who's not in power being angry about it.
Yeah.
So there's that too. All right, we'll be back talking about episode 2. We're talking about She-Hulk, and we're also talking Rings of Power. So we're doing them all, baby. So come on back, and thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
You're welcome, Matt.
And we'll catch everybody next time.
Bye.